Hey guys, Mike Robertson here with the Online Coaching Formula, and today we're going to talk about something that I'm really passionate about and something I've had a lot of success with over the last couple years, and that's running an online training group. So if you're unfamiliar with this concept, I think you're really going to enjoy it, and I think it's going to be a way that you can really leverage your time in your online coaching business going forward. So let's start with a really simple question, and that is, what is a training group? And the way I like to think of it is an online training group is where you're working with a large group of online clients in one setting or environment. So I'll show you guys a couple platforms and a couple avenues that you can take this. But I think it's just a really great way. Instead of doing kind of the individualized one-on-one thing, there's a lot of benefits. Just like, in your offline business, you could have one-on-one, semi-private, and boot camp. This gives you a way to leverage your online coaching and your online training business. And quite frankly, it's not something that I've seen a lot of people doing. A handful of people are doing it now, but I think if you guys are really diligent about this and if you get all your systems in place, this is something that you can get in on very early and kind of at ground level and really be successful with going forward. So the next question becomes, well, why do I want to run a training group? Or why would you want to run a training group? How can it benefit you? And like I mentioned up front, it's got a lot of the same benefits of or similar to a boot camp. So you're going to be able to help more people. They're going to pay less money. And this is really important because, again, you guys saw, I'm charging anywhere from $350 to $450 a month for online coaching. For my online training programs, I'm generally charging about $99 a month. So it's a significant price difference. So not only do they pay less, but ultimately, if I get enough people in that group to make it worth my while, I make more money per hour. So it's truly a win-win for both the client as well as yourself. And here's another way to think about it. As you're building your online group or your online community, if you will, I've got people that are really interested in what Mike Robertson has to say, or Eric Cressy, Tony Gentilcore, Mike Reinold. They've all got their own little followings. And a lot of these people want to have that next step in kind of their relationship with you. So, maybe they've read your blog or they've listened to your podcast or watched your YouTube videos. They may not be ready for full online training, but they want to take that next step. So this gives you another avenue to kind of grow your own community or your own tribe, which I think is really important because ultimately people want to learn from you. They want to hang out with you. So this gives them a way that they can do that, and it's beneficial to both parties. So who should you run a training group for? And this is a really important question to ask yourself, because what I've found is the people that work well in this kind of environment are, again, they're kind of similar to bootcamp people. They're typically a little bit more experienced, so they've done some training before, they're comfortable with the lifts, maybe they don't need as much individual or guided instruction as others. A second group that this works really well for are people that just want more accountability. So again, I've got this kind of target niche that I'm seeking out when I'm running a training group. It's these people that have trained for a while. Maybe they're just kind of bored with their own training, or they don't feel like they're getting a ton out of it. So this allows them to kind of offload that. They've got somebody else writing their programs, which is immediately going to increase their accountability because now they're accountable to somebody else and not just to themselves. So, these people that have been training for a while, they need some more accountability. These are both demographics that it works really well for. But the third component I think is very important is making sure that you have a target niche. So up to this point, I've run 2 smaller groups and 1 bigger group. So the everyday athlete was geared towards people who, in their innermost hearts, they were athletes, right? Or they'd been an athlete at some point in their past, but they weren't athletic now. So this was a program that basically rebuilt them from the ground up. So we started working on elasticity. We started working on power development. We started working on sprint mechanics. So rebuilding all of those things that athletes do when they're young and maybe that we lose over the course of time because we kind of get married to just strength training or just endurance training. So that target worked very, very well because there's a lot of people out there that kind of feel like ex-athletes or broken athletes, weekend warriors. They want to get back to that, but they don't know where to start. So that worked really, really well. Second was a group that I called the athletic strength group. So, I came up in a powerlifting environment. I don't necessarily consider myself a powerlifter anymore, but this was a program for people that wanted to get stronger, but maybe didn't want to do so following the typical back squat, bench press, deadlift program. So what I tried to do in this program was create a little bit more flexibility. So you pick the squat that you want. You pick the bench press variation that you want. You pick the deadlift variation that you want. And then I filled in the gaps with accessory work that, again, kind of helped them feel like an athlete. So they would still do single leg work. They would still do a lot of core work and upper body work. So the focus was on getting stronger, but in a more well-rounded manner than a lot of powerlifting programs would follow. And then my most recent and actually my most successful online training group is what I'm just calling the RTS Annual Training Group. So in this case, it's 4 different training blocks, so it spans 12 months. It's 4 3-month training blocks with each one having a different goal. So this first block is kind of like foundation, moving well, getting the conditioning up. Then we're going to spend 3 months working on body composition, so everybody looks great going into the summer. 3 months focusing on athleticism, when it's warm and you can get outside and you can do all this stuff. And then the last block, October, November, December, we're focused on strength because typically, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's getting cold. You don't want to go outside as much, so it works really well. So I would think this is a really critical component, is having a very targeted niche that you're going to sell your training group to. Now, the next question becomes, well, when should you run a training group? And it works really well, at least in my experience, when you tie a training group or a challenge, if you're kind of running an offline business, to a specific theme or tying it to a specific time of year. So an obvious one is New Year's, right? You want to get somebody going on the right foot, so maybe you have, like a kickstart program for 3 months to get them going January, February, March. Another one would be like we're going to run a challenge at our gym leading up to a holiday or a target date, such as July the 4th, because July the 4th, again, Northern Hemisphere, everybody wants to be outside, they want to look fit, they want to look good. So this would be another time where you maybe run, say, a 6, 8, 12-week training group to get people looking great and ready for summer. And then last but not least, you can run one just because you want to. Like the athletic strength program, I really just wanted to see how this would work. I'd never done anything like it before. I kind of had this idea bouncing around in my head, so I just kind of put it out there, and I said, look, if I can get at least 10 people that are interested in this program, then I will run it. So I think that may be a great way to start it. You don't even tie it to something. Just say, hey, put it out real nonchalantly on either social media or in your newsletter. Hey, this is something I'm thinking about doing. Email me back and let me know if you're interested. So those are a couple different ways you can set it up. Again, I think if you can tie it to something, it's always going to work better. And the more specific, so tie it to a day or event, target the niche, all of these things add up to you being more successful with a training group. Now, great question would be, where should you run a training group? And there's a couple options here. Now, I will tell you, I have always run my training groups off of Facebook. So I will give you an example here. Sorry, let me call this up. So here's an example of my everyday athlete training group, and you can see we did pretty well. I think we got 26 members signed up here, but it's just a closed group, so people can sign up. They join via Facebook. Now you're gonna have some people that just don't want to join Facebook for whatever reason, and I'm totally okay with that, and I just let them know if I'm hosting it through Facebook, you can still get all the content, but you're not going to have the same degree of interaction, you're not going to have the same degree of accountability. But you can see here, closed group, this guy did super well on the program. I mean, it was for strength, but you can see Gary did really well on the program. So we just kind of, host it here, and it's a great way to have, excuse me, some built-in accountability to get people to interact. I think that's really important. People want community. So if they're off at some random gym and they're serious about training and everybody else around there isn't, being in a training group and interacting with you on Facebook gives them accountability not only to yourself but to a group, and it makes them more likely to achieve success. So Facebook is one way to go. And I will tell you, I've ran 3 groups, I've hosted everyone through Facebook, and it's gone pretty well. But I'm getting more pushback here lately. We got probably 27 people signed up for the annual training group, which was a huge success for me. And probably 6 or 7 of that group don't want to be on Facebook. So what I'm looking into now, and again, you guys are free to look into this too, it's called discourse hosting. So let me call that site up. But discourse hosting is, like it says, it's a cloud-based forum. So this is something that I'm looking into using. It looks fairly simple to use. Looks like they can create it so it's kind of got your own URL or website attached to it. And I'm thinking I may start using this because two issues with Facebook. Number one, people aren't as interested in using it. You're going to have more pushback. Excuse me. But number two, what I'm finding is that Facebook is just a huge source of distraction. And you know it, I know it. You can go onto Facebook intending to spend 2 minutes, and next thing you know, you spent 2 hours. So it's not only a distraction, but it's taking away from the experience, because ultimately that's what Facebook wants to do. They want to be a distraction. They want you to hang out there forever. So I'm looking more and more into moving into a platform such as this, where it's more self-contained, there's not as much extra stuff going on, and where I can get every member of the group to come on. You know, the downside is they're going to have to go there every day. Most people, it's just kind of ingrained that they go to Facebook and they check it every day. You're going to have to figure out some way to get them to go to whatever platform you're using on a fairly regular manner if you want them to get the most success. So the process here, do not make it harder than it should be, right? When I'm setting these up, I set up a sales page, very simple, you know, explain what we're doing, explain the benefits of the program, you know, who it's for. I try and make it very specific. And then what happens is as soon as they order, I direct them to the Facebook group because I want them to sign up immediately. I want to get them involved because you got to think, somebody that just bought your product is engaged. They're excited about what you have to offer. They want to learn more. They want to start interacting with people. So if I can reroute them immediately and get them engaged in the community, that's going to work best for you. So reroute them to the Facebook group, the forum, whatever you're using. And then what I do from there is I email the programs, and then I will also post it on the platform as well. So that way, even the people that aren't tied into the Facebook group, or maybe they just don't want that element of it, they just want the program, it's very simple for them to jump in and get started with the program. Now, I think it's very important that I give you guys a practical example of this because I could sit here and talk about, oh, these are awesome and you should be doing them, but I want to show you kind of how I got started with this and give you guys some ideas as to how to structure it. So the first program that I ran was Athletic Strength. And again, I don't remember exactly how many people I had in there. I want to say like 12 to 15. So it was a pretty good success, and it gave me a pretty good idea of how to run, you know, one of these online training groups. The second group that I ran was called the Everyday Athlete. And again, you know, I was trying to be very specific about this. Who did I want? I wanted people who were serious about regaining their athleticism. And I had a broad mix from people who were just strength training and working out, who wanted to get back into athletic shape. I had, you know, one gal who was like an ex-bodybuilder who, you know, just kind of felt broken. She felt like this collection of body parts. She wanted to get training again. So it was very focused. It was very targeted to people that wanted to get their athleticism back. When I ran it in the summer, and again, I felt like this was really important because I tried to give them stuff that they could do outside, whether it was cardiac output style training like hiking and walking, tempo running, anything that I thought they could get outdoors and do, I had to give them in the summer because the practical fact of the matter is in the winter, you don't know what people have access to. So I tried to run it in the summer because I thought that would be most conducive to them getting outdoors and to being able to do all the exercises and following the entire program. And then the platform that I used in this case was Facebook. So again, they would go through the sales page, they'd buy the product, and then they get immediately rerouted back to the Facebook page. Now, to give you guys some ideas as to the cost, again, what I did was two options for payments. They could either do $99 a month for the 3 months, which I'm totally cool with because as business owners, we know we love a receivables base. We know that we're going to get some money coming into the business every month. But then, you know, I'm not against, you know, paid in full options. So what I did was I said, okay, look, you can either pay $297 and split it across 3 months, or you can do a single pay of $249 and save about $50. So as you guys saw, we had 26 members in that group, and we brought in approximately $7,500 in revenue. So you got to think, over the course of 3 months, I added $2,500 per month to my bottom line for, you know, what really amounted to a nominal amount of work. So one last thing I want to show you, and I apologize because I did not open this. But I wanted to show you kind of what this program looks like. So I gave you guys before what a sample program looks like. Well, this is what one of my online training group programs look like. It's a little bit different because I've got to imagine these people aren't necessarily familiar with me, and they're with me a shorter period of time. So I gave them, some very basic information, what we're going to train each block, some of my most popular articles, coaching videos, so they can start getting more familiar with me. Because again, I don't know how much information they've gotten from me, how much they've dove into my website or my articles. So I'm trying to kind of fast track them very early on in the program. So you can see we've got all the information here, an overview of the month, what we're doing, and then the program itself. And then I think this is really important too. When I do these online training programs, yeah, it's great getting a program, but I try and always add other elements or added value to it. So in this case, I know a lot of these people, and a lot of people that work with me in general are trainers and coaches themselves. So kind of an added value that I gave was, not only do you get a program every month, do you get the accountability of the Facebook group, but I also explained to them why I laid the program out the way that I did. So, why did I do short sprints? Why do I include box jumps? Why do I include tempo lifting? So they're kind of getting educated to the process as well. And some people may not care about this at all, but what I find is even your people that aren't trainers and coaches, people that are just buying the program because they want to follow the program, are really interested in this stuff once they start going through, and it just gets them thinking about the training process in general. So I'll make sure I post this in the notes as well so that you guys can have access to this and you can look through it. But I think, it's just another way to add value beyond just the program. I mean, with my training group, the annual training group, I'm not only offering all of this, but I'm also offering a nutritional challenge every month, a recovery challenge, and then a mindset challenge. So now we're not only tackling just training, but training, nutrition, recovery, mindset. We're really building out this robust program over the course of 12 months. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this module. I think online training groups are a fantastic way for you to grow and evolve your online business. It's a great way to leverage your time, because as great as one-on-one online coaching is, if you have a big enough platform to build from, if you got a big enough audience to start getting people into, online training groups are going to be a fantastic way for you to grow your business. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I am Mike Robertson, signing off.